Welcome to the Explainer. So, you just got the news. Your patent application rejected. Ugh, that sinking feeling in your stomach is totally real. But what if I told you that rejection isn't the end? What if it's actually an opportunity? Today, we're going to break down how to flip that script and turn a rejection from a crisis into a major strategic win that actually makes your patent stronger. I love this quote because it just nails it, right? Walking a tightrope. It's the perfect way to think about this. Lean too far one way, and you've narrowed your claim so much it's practically useless. But lean too far the other, and the examiner won't budge. You're trying to find that perfect balance, and it is so tricky. And this is the part that gets so many people. It's usually not the invention that's the problem. It's the words. One clumsy phrase, one hasty change, and poof, the whole thing can just fall apart later on. Every single word you choose from this point forward is going to be put under a microscope, so you've got to be careful. All right, Section 1, the danger of haste. Let's get right into the biggest trap people fall into. The second they see that rejection, there's this gut reaction, and it feels so right in the moment, but it's almost always a huge mistake. And look, that instinct to just go, to fix it right now, it's totally natural. Of course it is. You've poured everything into this thing, and a rejection feels like this giant wall you have to smash through. But, and this is so important, that urgent push is often the very thing that starts to chip away at a really strong invention. So you've really got two paths here, two completely different mindsets. On one side, you've got that panic reaction, just fix it, narrow it down, do whatever it takes to get it approved. And on the other side, you have the strategic response. It's about taking a breath, really analyzing what's going on, and building something that's not just for today, but for the long haul. Okay, so how do you fight that panic? Well, it's not just about hitting the brakes. It's about what you do with that pause. It's about asking the right questions. And this is the big one. Before you even think about typing a single word, you've got to ask yourself this question. You're not just tweaking a few lines of text. You are telling the story of your invention. And that's the story the examiner needs to understand, and maybe, just maybe, a courtroom full of people need to understand it years from now. And this strategic pause isn't about sitting on your hands. It's super active. There are 3 key steps. First, you've got to really dig into the logic of the rejection. What's the why behind it? Second, you need to uncover what the examiner is really worried about. Hint, it's often just about things not being clear enough. And third, you go back to your original application. The support you need is probably already in there. You're not inventing new stuff. You're just shining a brighter light on it.
And this right here, this can be a real aha moment. A lot of the time, the problem isn't your invention. It's how you've explained it. The examiner might just be confused. They don't see what makes your thing different. If you can just clear up that communication, you might be able to get it allowed without having to give up any ground at all.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and talk about the long game. Because here's something you have to remember. Every single change you make is being watched. You're not just writing for one person, the examiner. You're writing for a whole audience of people you haven't even met yet. This is what's called the prosecution history. Think of it like the black box on an airplane. It's a permanent, unchangeable record of every single thing you said, every argument you made, every comma you changed. And you better believe that if you ever end up in court, the other side's lawyers are going to comb through that history with a magnifying glass, looking for any little crack. What you write today could literally be used against you years from now.
So, imagine you're building a bridge. On one side of this huge canyon is your application. On the other side is a rock-solid, enforceable patent. Every amendment you make is another wooden plank you're laying down to cross that canyon. If you rush it, if you use a weak plank, you're leaving a gap. And that gap is exactly where someone will try to make you fall later.
And this brings us to what might be the golden rule of this whole thing. Never, ever, trade your core innovation for a quick and easy win. It's so tempting, right? Just give up this one little thing to get it over the finish line. But if that little thing is the heart and soul of your invention, you've just won a battle to lose the entire war. You'll end up with a piece of paper that's basically worthless.
So, how do we actually do this? How do we reframe a rejection from being a gut punch to being a gift?
This is the mindset shift you have to make. That rejection, it's not an attack, it's free consulting. The examiner is literally pointing a giant red arrow at the weakest spots in your patent. They're showing you exactly where a competitor is going to try and poke holes later. So instead of fighting it, you can use that feedback like a blueprint to build up your defenses. When you think about it this way, everything changes. A strategic amendment isn't just patching a hole. You are actively upgrading your IP. You're sealing future cracks before they even form. You're making your story crystal clear, and you're building an asset that is way more valuable and way harder to attack.
All right, let's bring it all home by looking at the final, crucial balancing act here.
So it all comes down to this: clarity versus coverage. You need both. Think of clarity as your shield. It makes your claim easy to understand and tough to argue against. But coverage is the high walls of your fortress. It gives you that broad protection that keeps competitors out. The goal of a great amendment is to make the shield stronger and the walls higher, without weakening either one. So in the end, you have to ask yourself this question. By seeing that rejection as a chance to get stronger, not weaker, you're doing more than just getting a patent approved. You're not just getting a piece of paper. You're building a fortress.